So the countdown for the full release of Modern Warfare 2 has begun. Obviously the beta has ended and Infinity Ward have come out and spoke about some of the stuff they learned from the beta. We've got some camo leaks for Modern Warfare 2 actually, some mastery camo stuff, and we've also got some Warzone 2 leaks, which I think a lot of people who are fans of Warzone 1 will definitely like to hear. If you want to know what I thought about the Modern Warfare 2 open beta, I'll leave a link to my video down in the description below. This video contains everything that I thought of the beta, all my positives, negatives, what have you. I'd recommend go watching that. I talk about pretty much everything that people talk about on this game. Maybe I missed a couple things, I don't think so, but anyway, with that out of the way, we're going to start off with the blog post from Infinity Ward. So this blog post is nowhere near as in-depth as the first one they released for the end of weekend 1. This one is just, they talk about sort of surface level stuff. They don't really go in depth about some of the things they talked about from the previous weekend, and honestly, a lot of this stuff in this blog post we already talked about. I'll show you the full blog post on the screen now. There isn't anywhere near as much content here as the first blog post, so I personally was disappointed for this. I was really, I was hyped. I was anticipated for this blog post to come out. Yeah, that's the first time I've been hyped for a fucking blog post. First blog post they released gave me so much hope. I saw that and I was like, wow, they're talking about this stuff. I want to, you know, after the second weekend, after the continuous feedback continuing from the first weekend, I want to see what they say. And instead, they haven't really addressed that much. So we're going to start off by reading the first couple, well, I'm not even going to read the first couple paragraphs because it's all just, thank you for playing the beta. We love seeing you play, blah, blah, blah. First two things they talk about are the footstep audio and the enemy visibility. While sentiment around footstep audio is more positive in beta weekend 2, we have seen your continued feedback on the volume of footsteps, and we'll continue to balance enemy-friendly footsteps audio ahead of launch. Enemy visibility is something that came up through both weekends of our beta. While many of you remarked on the improvements in weekend 2, we'll look to tweak increased enemy visibility to allow for better visual tracking of opponents that is not solely that traditional nameplate. So obviously it's brilliant they're talking about the footstep audio. I'm hoping they reduce it a significant amount for the launch, because that was the #1 complaint from everyone, I feel, especially me. I could live with the rest of the issues being in the game if that footstep audio was turned down. At least I could move around the map without being punished, you know? But the enemy visibility thing that they talked about is kind of annoying, because honestly, I don't see why we don't just have traditional nameplates. Obviously, there's a lot more that, you know, that goes into that. Even if you aim at someone, you still need to aim at them to see the nameplate. So it's not like we get nameplates and the issue's resolved. But I don't see why they don't just add them in the game anyway. It doesn't make sense why they're trying to change it. But even if we had nameplates in the game, people would complain about the visibility, so it's whatever. I'm fine with it. Disbanding lobbies are another topic we addressed during the beta. We feel this is an important feature and are actively looking for potential solutions for launch. So it seems like they are listening to us about the disbanding lobbies finally, and they're going to be doing something for the launch of the game, which is nice to hear. They're looking for a solution for launch. Now, obviously, that's not a guarantee that we're going to be getting it on launch. However, it's something that's on their priorities list. They've addressed it twice now, so this is something that I think we could be seeing an end to in terms of disbanding lobbies. At least some sort of compromise, which would be nice. Then they talk about weapon tuning, nothing really too interesting. They also talk about third-person mode, ground war, and some stuff about ricochet as well, because obviously there's a lot of cheaters. And that's it. That's the entire blog post. That's everything that they felt they needed to talk about. There was no perk packages, no minimap, no dead silence, none of that. None of the big glaring issues that people have with this game. No. Just some of the stuff that we already know and a couple things that we didn't know. That's literally it. Now, in my opinion, this is a really disappointing blog post. The first one was fantastic. We've never had that level of communication through a beta before, and I was really happy with that. And I was thinking the second one was going to be just as in-depth, if not more in-depth, because we didn't have a second weekend or a third weekend to go to from this weekend. So I would have thought it'd been even more in-depth, but it's kind of annoying. They're probably just teasing us for the launch of the game, but we don't really know what they're going to be addressing, you know, especially with all these issues that people had and they know that we have, and they've even talked about in the previous blog post. They haven't readdressed the issues. We don't know if they're listening or whatever. Obviously, in that first blog post, they talked about the minimap, the perk packages, the dead silence, and we're just kind of like, screw you, we're doing it our way. But I want to hear them readdress that. And The fact that they haven't kind of makes you feel like they're not changing it for the launch, which is disappointing. Hopefully sometime in the full release though, year one, let's hope so. So next up we're going to talk about the leaked camo challenges for Modern Warfare 2. This is something that's a big deal for me. I'm so excited to go for the camo in this game. I love camo grinding in COD. So I'm excited to get my hands on this game to get the Damascus camo, and I just want to preface this by saying we did actually get the official camos leaked for the game. It was data mined. They are placeholders, so we had gold, platinum, Damascus, and obsidian in the game. However, the icons are the exact same as Modern Warfare 2019, and this leads me to believe they are placeholders. Whenever they've re-released a camo, let's say Dark Matter or something like that, they've always used a different image, they've always used a different graphic, so this means that it's a placeholder in my opinion. Obviously I could be completely wrong, they just could be lazy, we could have the exact same camos again this year, but come on, I highly doubt that, especially the amount of shit they got for Damascus and even Platinum. I doubt they're going to be bringing them back, so... Or maybe they will, they'll just make it better. I don't really know. Anyway, let's move on. Now, I'm going to show the camo challenges for every single weapon on your screen now. I'm not going to read through them because I want to talk about them while I show them. You can read them for yourself. These challenges are almost identical to the ones in Modern Warfare 2019, you know, especially with the mounted kills, long shot kills, streaks, kills, headshots, blah, blah, blah. Most of them are pretty much the exact same, apart from the different values. So I think LMGs had 100 in Modern Warfare 2019. I'm pretty sure SMGs, I think they had 50 as well. But what I'm trying to say is some of the values for these camos I'm pretty sure are inconsistent from Modern Warfare 2019, which does lead me to believe that these are the actual camo challenges for the game. However, the fact that the actual camouflages themselves are placeholders that are just ported over from Modern Warfare 2019, this leads me to believe that these challenges could also be placeholders. Now, we are very close to launch, so it's entirely possible that this isn't true and these are the challenges that we have. But I want to believe that these are placeholder challenges, and I just want to warn you, don't believe this. You know, it still could be, not real or whatever. It might change. But overall, these challenges aren't too bad. Although I'm not a huge fan of mounted kills. I think that's ridiculous. And I still think the amount of long shots that we have is absurd. I think 100 long shots for every single assault rifle. It might depend on how many assault rifles we have. We might not have as many as Modern Warfare 2019. We're not sure how camos work across platforms. You know, do they count as different weapons? You know, especially with the attachments, universal leveling as well. That's going to slow down, reduce the grind, sorry. We also have, as well, how the camo is going to be unlocked. Are they tied to the level of the gun? Do I have to level up every single gun? Are they attached to attachments? Are they their own entity? There's so many questions with how these camos are going to work. And to be honest, we might not even be looking at the final challenges. Once again, these could have just been the placeholder. This could have been something they ported over, messed around with, but they've completely changed by now. This is just something that was in the beta. This is something that was data mined. So they could have a completely different build for the game now, which doesn't even have these challenges in it. It could be entirely different. So there's a lot that is still subject to change with this system, so I'm just going to leave it there. The challenges do seem better than Modern Warfare 2019, but still not as good as something like Cold War. I think Cold Wars is possibly the best, apart from taking cover kills. Fuck them. But the system that Cold War had, in my opinion, is better than Modern Warfare 2019's and Vanguard's. So with that out of the way, we're going to move on to the final section of this video, which is the Warzone 2 leaks. Now, I don't think I've actually talked about Warzone 2 at all on this channel. I think I've mentioned that it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Other than that, I haven't talked about news or anything on Warzone 2. Obviously, I didn't really do a full breakdown video on Call of Duty Next like I thought I was going to, but there was just so much to unpack, and then obviously we had the beta as well. I decided not to. I'm not really a news channel, but this stuff today I wanted to talk about, obviously. There's things like AI, there's no loadouts, the looting is kind of more like Blackout. They have like actual loot UI sort of like Blackout as well, where like you go in the backpack and you'd have to like select the items or whatever. They didn't just drop on the floor like Warzone 1. So I reckon this tweet here from the Ghost of Hope is going to make a lot of people very happy. He says, AI are no longer all over the map. AI only within strongholds. Loadouts plus perks are back. Loot UI, as we saw, COD Next now gone. This is pretty much everything I was worried about for Warzone 2, to be honest. AI all over the map, really fucking dumb. I could go into why it's dumb, but I think everyone just knows why it's dumb, so I don't really need to talk about it. AI only within strongholds, that makes sense. Strongholds are where the, the top tier loot is, so I'm okay with having AI in the strongholds. That, that does make sense. Loadouts and perks are back. I'm not sure how to feel about, what they were going for with no loadouts. The way it worked before was that you'd only be able to buy certain weapons at the buy stations. There were no lethals, tacticals, perks, there wasn't a loadout. You could only buy guns and everything else was your ground loot. I'm not sure if I prefer that or not. However, it looks like loadouts and perks are back, so there you go. And the loot UIs we saw at COD Next is now gone. Thank God for that. Why doesn't it just drop on the floor like Warzone 1? Well, it looks like it does, so I'm happy with that. So overall, this tweet is a massive W. I'm really happy with this. Now, to be honest, unless I do some sort of like grand Warzone 2 reveal or what to expect from Warzone 2, something before the launch, I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about Warzone 2 until the launch of the game, because there's a lot to talk about in Modern Warfare 2. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about between now and launch. There's obviously different videos I want to make as well, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking much about Warzone 2, especially because I didn't really play the first one that much, but I'm still really looking forward to it. This tweet does sound really good. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting in today's video. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new around here. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.